say, man, I just don't think I'm going to make it through this. And here's the thing, we can do anything with God. We understand that. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Jeremiah 32:17. Our Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee. In verse 27, behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh, and there is nothing too hard for thee. Right. There's nothing that God cannot do. But we can do nothing without faith. Right. There's nothing you can do without faith. When Jesus, you know, when you read through the Gospels and Jesus was going through and performing his miracles and healing his miracles, he was constantly asking people, do you believe that I can do this? Do you have faith that I can do this? Let me give you an example. Matthew 9:28. And when he was come into the house, the blind man came to him, and Jesus saith unto them, believe ye that I am able to do this? They said unto him, yea, Lord. Another example, Mark 9:22. And oft times it hath cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou mine unbelief. See, there's nothing you can do without belief. I'm not just talking about being saved. I'm talking about there's nothing. God works. He operates on faith. Matthew 13:57. Probably one of the saddest verses in the Bible. And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief. See, the only thing, God is all powerful. Is there anything too hard for the Lord? I can do all things, right? But there's one thing that will stop God, and it's unbelief. It's faith. It's the lack of faith. And see, I preach this message because maybe you're going through something, or maybe you will go through something. A sin that you just don't feel you can cast out. A situation, you know, like David, his son was dying. Like Esther, who had to go stand in front of a king and she could die. Something that's going on, and you say, I just don't know that I can do. And look, that attitude is a lack of faith. That attitude, when you say, I just can't quit these drugs, or I just can't quit this music, that's saying I don't have the faith that God can do it through me. And God, Jesus, gives us a mode. He says, there's going to come things in your life that are going to be a little more to handle than the faith you have. And he says you can increase that faith. But you got to fast. How do I increase the faith? By going to church? How do I increase my faith? By doing good things or being a good person? He says, no. You got to take the desire from your belly. Separate yourself from your flesh. Starve yourself a little bit. Physically and spiritually. And God says when you humble yourself, there's something about humbling yourself. Something about afflicting yourself. There's something about just humbling yourself before God that takes your reliance from you. See, when you're proud, you're relying on yourself. But when you afflict yourself, you humble yourself, you realize, I need God. And God says that increases your faith. Why couldn't they cast out the devil? Was it because they couldn't fast? They didn't fast? Or was it because of their unbelief? It was both. They didn't have the belief, the faith to cast it out. But if they would have fasted, it would have increased their faith. No. If they would have fasted, then God would have stepped in and cast it. No. If they would have fasted, it would have increased your faith. Remember this. Fasting has more to do with who you are than whatever's going on in the world. Let me leave you with these verses. Mark chapter 11, verse 22. And Jesus answering saith unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. And look, I'm not saying that, like these Pentecostals, Billy Graham heals you and then, or not Billy Graham, Benny Hinn, same thing, doesn't matter. But Benny Hinn heals you and then you don't really get healed and say, oh, well, it's because you didn't have faith. Look, having faith doesn't necessarily mean God is going to heal your son David. It doesn't necessarily mean that God's going to fix whatever your problem, but increasing your faith will mean that whether God fixes it or not, you can stand like Esther and say, hey, God, if you fixed it, if you don't fix it, if you heal my son, if you don't heal my son, if whatever you do, if I perish, I perish. And that's what fasting